everyone, welcome to McAllen Nature Center. My name is Tiffany Kirsten and I manage the site. We are currently open from on Tuesdays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 5:45 p.m. So I enjoy you to come out and take a look at what we're going to talk about today, as well as follow along in the video to learn all about butterflies and how you can put a butterfly garden in your own backyard. So we are here in our main butterfly garden at the McAllen Nature Center. We installed this garden about 3 years ago with some grant funding, and it is made up of all kinds of different native plants, and most of which is flowering now since it's October and it's peak flowering season for the butterfly plants as well as peak season for butterflies. One of the common misconceptions is that our butterflies migrate. And yes, it is true for the monarch butterfly, which is kind of the iconic butterfly that everyone seems to think of. But actually most species of butterflies either do not migrate or they do this thing called disperse migrate. So most butterflies that we have here are actually present year-round. They just lie dormant in either the egg stage or the larva stage, which is the caterpillar stage, or some of them even in the chrysalis stage, in some of the colder months and some of the drier months. So we actually do have our butterflies here in some shape and form year-round. The weather is great in the fall for the butterflies, so the life cycle of them all speeds up, and so we see more caterpillars and more butterflies and more beautiful flowers, and it's just a great time. Another important part of the butterfly life cycle is that these butterflies actually have specific plants that they feed on as caterpillars, and usually different plants that they prefer to feed on nectar on as adults. So one thing to keep in mind when planting a butterfly garden is to make sure that you're planting all native species, because the butterflies have evolved along with the species of plants that are native here or belong here or were present before humans on the ecosystem. So it's important, especially here in the Rio Grande Valley, we have a very different habitat type than we do in even the rest of Texas. So if you plant something that's native to hill country, you might say, well, it's native to Texas. It's actually not native to the Rio Grande Valley. So it's very important that you plant the plants that belong here so that the caterpillars have something to feed on, because obviously the caterpillars need to eat in order to eventually become butterflies. So we do have some resources that I recommend. The first one is Kaufman Field Guide to Butterflies of North America. It's a really great book to learn more about the butterflies that are here in the Rio Grande Valley. You can take a look at something, take a photo, and try to compare it to the guide and learn what it is. This book also does tell you what the host plant, right, or the plant that the caterpillars eat for that particular species, because it is species specific. Another great book is the Plants of Deep South Texas. This is kind of the Bible, if you will, of native plants of the Rio Grande Valley. It's actually written by a guy named Ken King who lives here in the valley as well. And if you're not wanting to make that investment, we do, for anyone, have an informational brochure on building homes for wildlife here in the Rio Grande Valley. It's put out by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and it has some photos of some of the most common plants, as well as the dimensions, which we'll get into the importance of the dimensions of the plants a little bit later. But you're welcome to stop by anytime we're open. We actually also have these outside of our main gate at our little brochure rack out there, so even if we're not open, you're welcome to pick it up. We have them in English, and we have them also in Spanish. This is Crucita here. It blooms only usually once a year in the fall. It's like the absolute king of butterfly plants for here in the Rio Grande Valley. As you can see, there's some bees, some butterflies. Here's a queen butterfly, the orange one out here. So a lot of people actually mistake the queen butterfly for the monarch butterfly. They look very similar, but again, this is actually a non-migratory one. So these guys are here year-round. Here is red salvia. We'll be looking at that a little bit more. We'll be planting some in the butterfly garden momentarily. There's lots of little orange guys. There's a little orange guy right here. These are called skippers. Little orange guys. There's a lot of different species that look very, very similar. And I don't claim to be an expert. Here's a butterfly called a large orange sulfur. Make you dizzy if you watch them too long. There's another orange butterfly here. This is called a Gulf fritillary. The underside of the wings, if you're able to see it, are actually silver. They're really, really cool, metallic and silver. Doesn't want to cooperate with us too much. Alrighty, now we are up near the front of our site and we are beginning the process of putting in another little butterfly garden. We've had a few plants in already and we are adding some more. So I'll show you in a minute the species that we're adding. But you want to make sure when you dig the hole for the plant that you dig it about twice as wide as the pot that's going into it. And that's to make sure that all the soil around it is loosened and to give those roots a real chance to expand and grow and the plant to flourish. So we've got Nicole here. Nicole, you want to say hi? And Angelina and Jessica. And we are, again, planting the butterfly garden today. So as you can see, the holes are being dug bigger than the plant. Angelina there in the middle is about to plant her plant. Angelina, can you show us one more time what you did with the pot? Where you smushed the sides?
Yeah, squish the sides.
So you're gonna squish the sides of the pot, and that's gonna loosen the soil, and then hold, and then tip the pot over. Exactly. And then the soil in that particular one was really loose already, but if it's not really loose, you're going to actually want to loosen up the roots, and we'll show you on another plant in a minute. And that will help, again, help those roots expand and give it the best chance to flourish. Angelina in the back here is planting a red salvia, and she's building a little moat around it, and she's doing that basically just to be able to aid in the watering process. So now instead of having to wait for all the water to sink in, to add more water when we water this, which will be a couple times a week, she can add a bunch of water and it'll sit there in the little bowl and then all soak in near the same spot. Nicole is planting a white plumbago here. You can see she's doing that process of wiggling the pot, and then she's going to go ahead and, her soil fell apart pretty easy too. It doesn't always do that, so if it doesn't, you'll need to kind of take some of the soil away from the roots. Jessica's planting hers here too. She's got a shrimp plant. This is the native Texas shrimp plant, pretty little purple color. She's burying it there. And then we do have another lantana in the middle that's right there in front of Angelina. She'll be planting that next. So Angelina here is planting our lantana. She's again wiggling it. Oh, look at there. She's got the good root ball. So what she's going to do is carefully pick apart without trying to break the roots. Try to just loosen them, loosen the soil around it so that some of those roots at the bottom are kind of free standing. So it's going to help integrate the roots into the rest of the soil as the plant grows more. Nicole's got a good one too. We need to kind of break some of that soil off the bottom, loosen those roots up. Pretty little Texas sage there. So Jessica's ready to water hers, and I think she'll go through and probably water them all for us. You can see how that berm helps just keep all the water right there. And get a good generous watering the first time. You don't want them to have standing water. That's good, Jessica. You don't want them to have standing water for too long, but we'll see that water will hang out and sink in for a little bit, and then we've made sure that the whole the whole area is watered to go ahead and give them a good chance at the new start of their lives here in the soil. thank you all for coming out and joining us on this virtual Build a Butterfly Garden day. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to go ahead and leave a comment in the messages in the comment section below, or feel free to send us a message on Facebook. Thank you. Have a great day.